Hello guys, this is Surya Anand, chemistry teacher. I am going to teach you the chapter number 1, chemical reaction and equation. This is the second class of chemistry wala. So I am going to teach you today the topic chemical equation. It is all about the chemical equation. So let's start this class by the definition of chemical equation. A chemical equation is a shorthand representation of a chemical reaction using the symbols and formula of substances involved in the chemical reaction. This means the chemical reaction always all chemical reactions are represented by chemical equation. It means any chemical reaction, it must be represented, it should be represented by a chemical equation. So a chemical equation is a shorthand. Shorthand means it is a represented by the chemical reaction using the symbol. It's the symbol of element, the symbol of compounds, and formula of substances. That is the formula like LCl, ZnCl, H2SO4, ZnSO4, Al2, OH whole 3, CaOH whole 2, etc. etc. So these shorthand representation of symbol like hydrogen, chlorine, oxygen, nitrogen, potassium, etc. These are the symbol and these are the formula of substance involved in the chemical reaction. So chemical equation is a shorthand representation of a chemical reaction using the symbol and formula of substances involved which are taking part in the chemical reaction. These are called. All chemical reactions are represented by chemical equation. It means you are going to write any chemical reaction, you must use the chemical equation. Second is the symbols and formula. The symbols and formula of the substances, that may be elements and compounds, so are arranged to show the reactants and the product of a chemical reaction. Is it clear? Next, example is there. I am just elaborate this with the example. When potassium nitrate is heated, KNO3 is heated, it gives KNO2 and oxygen. Just see here, this is potassium nitrate, this is a symbol of heat, and when it heated, it gives you potassium nitrite. That is nitrite and that is nitrate, that is different. O3 is nitrate and O2 is nitrite. This is the oxygen also. So the reactant is here, potassium nitrite. When heated, it gives the product potassium nitrite and oxygen. This is represented by the chemical equation. So next is the example, zinc granulus plus dilute H2SO4. That is the zinc sulfate plus hydrogen gas. Is it clear? Next is after chemical equation, I am going to teach you the skeletal chemical equation. Skeletal. Next one is the part of a chemical equation, that is the skeletal chemical equation. Guys, skeletal chemical equation is nothing. Skeletal chemical equation is just the representation of chemical equation instead of words to represent a chemical equation. So next part is skeletal chemical equation. Skeletal chemical equation. So you can say the skeletal chemical equation. A skeletal chemical equation. A chemical equation is a symbolic. A chemical equation is a symbolic, that is represented by symbol. Symbolic notation that uses symbols and formula, that uses symbols and formula instead of words. instead of words, instead of words to represent a chemical reaction, to represent a chemical reaction. So guys, this is the all about the skeletal equation. Skeletal, suppose that there is example. I am going to write here the example. I am going to write here the example. Magnesium plus oxygen. That is magnesium oxide. That is 2MgO. Suppose that this may be written as in the word equation. That is magnesium plus oxygen. That is the magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide. So this is all about the skeletal chemical equation. The skeletal equation, you can say the skeletal chemical equation or chemical equation, both are the same thing. But you, whenever you ask the skeletal chemical equation, you may write the definition of chemical equation same as. But in my point of view, you can write like this: a chemical equation is a symbolic notation, representation that uses symbol or formula instead of words, and you just write the example also. Next is the balanced chemical equation. So next part is the balanced chemical equation. Balanced chemical equation. Balanced chemical equation. Balanced chemical equation. So balanced chemical equation is a equation in which a chemical equation in which the a chemical equation in which the a chemical equation in which the number of atoms, in which the number of atoms, atoms, what is atoms? Atom is the smallest, unit, is smallest unit of a substance, or you can say atom is the smallest particle of a unit which takes part in a chemical reaction. Atom is the smallest particle of unit, which takes part in a chemical reaction. So a chemical equation in which the number of atoms of each element on the reactant side, is equal to the product side. So this is a balanced chemical equation. This is called a balanced chemical equation. Is called a balanced chemical equation. So guys, this is the balanced chemical equation, means chemical equation in which the number of atom. Suppose you can take the example. Of balanced chemical equation. I am giving you the example of balanced chemical equation. Suppose that I can take the example of zinc granulus plus dilute SO4. It gives you ZnSO4 plus S2 base. You may just write the zinc one in the, this is the reactant side and this is the product side. So zinc is 1, hydrogen is 2, sulfur is 1 and oxygen is 2. There you can look, zinc is 1, hydrogen, you can write hydrogen also, hydrogen is 2, sulfur is 1 and oxygen is 4. Look here, this is a balanced chemical equation. This is a balanced chemical equation because the number of atom of each element is equal to the product side. Is the number of atoms of each element of reactant side is equal to the product side. That is, this is all about the balanced chemical equation. And why a chemical equation should be balanced? What is the reason that chemical equation is balanced? This is totally, you can say, the chemical equation, why the chemical equation should be balanced. There is a question also in your NCERT books, and very important question. According to the law of conservation of mass, according to the law of conservation of mass, you ever read in class 9 in the chapter number 1, that is the matter in our surroundings. You may just recall in your mind, you can just recall in your mind what is the law of conservation of mass. I am going to tell you, according to the law of conservation of mass, it states that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. It means matter cannot be created nor be destroyed. It means the reactant, the total mass of the reactant side is always equal to the product side. So the number of atoms of each element in the product side must be equal to the number of atoms of the reactant side. That is why the equation should be balanced. Is it clear? Means according to the law of conservation of mass, it is said that the mass is neither be created nor be destroyed. It means therefore during the chemical reaction the total mass of the reactant side is equal to the product side. It means therefore the number of atoms of each element in the product side, reactant side is always equal to the product side. That is why we can balance the chemical equation. This is an extra question, it comes from the NCERT. And after that I am going to discuss you what do you mean by the unbalanced chemical equation also. Unbalanced chemical equation, as balanced chemical equation you can say the number of element on the reactant side is always equal. There is a chemical equation in which the number of atoms of each element on the reactant side is not equal to the product side. That is called the unbalanced equation. Unbalanced equation you can write here, unbalanced equation. Suppose that an chemical equation with the number of atoms of each element on the reactant side is not equal to the product side is called unbalanced chemical equation. Unbalanced. Suppose I am giving the example here. Very easy example. It's a very easy example. You always just write here Mg plus O2. That is Mg. Number of element, number of atom of each element, Mg is equal to 1, oxygen is equal to 2. But there is Mg is equal to 1 and there is oxygen is equal to 1. So this is not the balance. This is the unbalanced. So this is the example of unbalanced chemical equation. Guys, this is all about the chemical equation, skeletal equation and balanced chemical equation and balanced chemical equation. Now, the states to balance the chemical equation. There are the few states. There are the few states to balance the chemical equation. So guys, you have to be remember that how to balance the chemical equation also in the next class, and I will teach you how to the steps to balance the chemical equation in next class, and how to balance the chemical equation. So don't miss the next class, and please watch my video and subscribe it, give more and more views. Thank you for watching the chemistry wala. That's all.